Good afternoon and welcome everybody. I'm glad you weren't held up by our big snow today. My name is Deborah Roth and I'm the moderator of today's event. Today's Meet the Press is organized by the human rights group Sikhs for Justice, also known as SFJ. Let me share a little bit about SFJ. Since its inception in 2007, SFJ has been working on human rights issues concerning Sikhs living in diaspora, as well as Indian-governed Punjab, the historical homeland of Sikhs. Prior to launching the Referendum 2020 initiative, SFJ has worked on the issues of the 1984 Sikh genocide and litigation involving human rights violations in India. SFJ's advocacy on the issue of Sikh genocide has resulted in the anti-Sikh violence of 1984 being recognized as genocide by several jurisdictions, including the Provincial Assembly of Ontario, Canada, State Assemblies of California and Connecticut, and more than 15 city councils in the United States. Referendum 2020 is a campaign for achieving the goal of Khalistan through peaceful and democratic modus operandi. Professor Katrina Kinval defines Khalistan as a Sikh sovereign movement seeking to create a separate country named Khalistan in the Punjab region of India as a homeland for the Sikhs. Now, I will briefly introduce our panel. Our first speaker in the panel is Mr. Gurpatwant Singh Panun. Mr. Panun is a human rights lawyer and legal advisor to SFJ and the Referendum 2020 campaign. Joining him is Dr. Bakshish Singh Sandhu. Dr. Sandhu is president of the Council of Khalistan, a veteran diaspora organization which has been advocating for the creation of Khalistan since the decade of the 1980s. Following the briefing, there will be a question and answer session. I will now hand over the floor to Mr. Panun and Dr. Sandhu.
Thank you very much. First of all, good afternoon to all for joining us today on the announcing of our Sant Jarnail Singh, Shaheed Sant Jarnail Singh Pandrawale National Headquarters for Referendum Campaign. As our founding fathers in the US Declaration of Independence stated, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separate. So I wanted to briefly discuss that Sikhs under Indian occupation, the Punjab under Indian occupation, is suffering extermination. They are suffering extermination. The Constitution of India, Article 25B, labels Sikh religion as Hindu religion. To get our Sikh religion recognized, the Indian government came to a point that in June 1984, they attacked the holiest Sikh shrine, Golden Temple, and then comes a decade-long cycle of violence against the Sikh community. From 1947 until 1984, until the Operation Blue Star, as it was codenamed, the Sikh people living in Punjab and in India, they tried their best to get their internal right to self-determination. Having failed all means, they started their quest for the external right to self-determination, and we are releasing a report today that is self-determination for the Sikh people, which lays out all the laws, the facts, and how do we qualify, how the Sikhs qualify as people. What are the reasons we are asking for external right to self-determination, and how we will achieve this one following the UN and international covenants and the international laws. As we have seen in the 30 years, 3 decades of violence, the Indian government, during their counterinsurgency operations, as they stated, more than 150,000 Sikhs were extrajudicially eliminated. Once that cycle of violence ended, the global Sikh community, which left Punjab for the quest of freedom and moved to the European nations, moved to America, moved to Canada, they started campaigning for separate state of Khalistan, for the freedom of Punjab, and to make sure that they re-establish Punjab as an independent nation as it was in 1849 before it was annexed by the British rule. So what we have started doing right now is we will be going for an unofficial, non-binding referendum in the year 2020 to know the will of the people, that whether Punjab should be an independent country or the people still wants to be living under the Indian occupation. So that's where we are heading towards, that we will be doing a unofficial, non-binding referendum in the year 2020. Thank you. Dr. Sandhu.
Today, here at the National Press Building, the Sikhs for Justice and Council of Khalistan team have gathered to make an announcement for the establishment of centers for registering votes for the referendum 2020. Referendum 2020 is unofficial referendum when people vote their register their votes. In those centers, they'll be casting their votes. Council of Khalistan is supporting the Sikhs for Justice attempt to hold this referendum for the exercise or right to self-determination for the people of Punjab. And this process is legal, democratic, and peaceful. United Nations Charter allows peoples the right to self-determination. And United Nations have laid down the rules and the principles regarding the peoples who qualify to have a referendum to exercise the right to self-determination. Taking into consideration all those conditions, the people of Punjab, they fulfill all the requirements. Punjab was an independent country until 1849, as Mr. Panoon has already mentioned. Also, the people of Punjab, they share common culture, common language, economical thread, and common natural resources. This United Nations Charter and the document regarding right to self-determination is a solid document and has been solidified by several conventions and covenants. The most important of these covenants are International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. These two documents, they make the backbone and the cornerstone of the people's right to self-determination and equal rights. So why this document is so important? Because this has the qualities of just, cogent norms. Means this is the binding law. Means that this law cannot be contracted or cannot be redacted. Means you cannot modify this document. Also, this document has the quality of erga omnes. Means all those states who have signed this document, they are obligated under the law to honor it. So we are holding this referendum to get Punjab independent from the country of India. There has been systematic attack on Sikh identity, Sikh religion, and there have been systematic attacks on our right to free speech and on our language and right to association. So we want to hold the referendum to free Punjab so that the people of Punjab will never ever have to undergo another genocide. So the people of Punjab, they are not tortured and subject to unspeakable and undescribable tortures, so that we stop the extrajudicial killing of Sikhs. We believe very strongly that we have a very strong cause and people support us in this right to self-determination. Only under an independent country of Punjab can the people of Punjab enjoy equal rights, social and gender equality and economical freedom. Thank you.
Now we'll allow questions, any that you may have, and I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Sanjha.
Yes, please.
Sanjha Chandewali from nearby UT, Pakistan. So can you tell us that how much is the total population of Sikhs in India and around the world, and how this referendum thing will work? How they gonna vote? Like it's an online thing or whatever?
See, there's an estimated between 25 million to 30 million Sikhs, and out of that, around 5 million Sikhs live outside, outside I will say, Punjab and India. And the way we are seeking this non-binding referendum, there are multiple ways which we will be planning. As we must have all seen that India is at its best right now in trying to block even our websites, even Twitter accounts, Facebooks. There are hundreds of Facebook accounts that has been blocked by the Modi government since 2017. So we, outside India, will be having polling stations in almost 20 countries. In the countries where there is a Sikh population, we'll be having a polling booths. There will be applications and there will be online. Regarding Punjab, as the time progresses, we will declare at that time how we're going to handle it in Punjab. Yes, sir.
Good Marks with NHK Japan Broadcasting. You mentioned you have outside support. Could you tell us who is supporting you? Do you have any UN support for this referendum?
When we say outside support, we are not talking about UN. What we are talking about is the Sikh Gurdwaras and the members of the community who are living outside Punjab. And we do have a support of the people of Punjab. We are talking about the Sikh community as we speak right now.
So you mentioned there are like 20 countries there where this polling is going to happen. So are you trying to do this in Pakistan, Punjab also?
You mean polling to get our Punjab held by India to freedom for that one? That's what you mean?
No, like you said that this polling for the referendum is going to commence in 20 countries. So
Yes, that is to liberate Punjab that is being currently held by India.
So is this polling also going to happen in Pakistan, Punjab?
So we are actually targeting the countries where there is a majority of the Sikh population. Like we have Canada, we have US, we have European countries. Pakistan has probably only 20 to 30,000 Sikhs. And if there are any of them who are indigenously from Punjab, I'm sure they can vote.
So there is a general perception that you are being supported by the Pakistan. So can you just clarify that Pakistan supporting you regarding this cause? Because there are
So
so
they-
much accusations on you like that.
So that has been done by the Indian government. That's what they have been doing for the last 30 years. And I can ask everybody sitting over here that you can see the press club is in Washington, D.C. We run campaign from London. We run campaign from Toronto. We don't run campaign from Islamabad press club. So that is total perception created by the Indian agencies, because what other excuses they have to stop a referendum campaign and to compare a referendum campaign with an acts of terrorism. So that is their smearing campaign, which they have been doing it for the last 30 years. But we do not have any support. We do not have any connections with the Pakistan and any other government as we speak.
So will you also say something about the new law approved by the Indian Parliament regarding the minorities? I mean, it can just...
I mean, it's good for the Indians. They want to create India as a Hindu state. That is very good. But at the same time, now the 200 million Muslim community and the 25 million Sikh community and others should be able to walk away free and should be able to have an independent countries. I think India is going in the right direction if they want to create it as a Hindu country, but at the same time, then the Sikh people and the Muslim people who are living under Indian occupation, they have a right to create their own countries. And this is very clear to the world leaders, to the European leaders, to the America, that the minorities in India do not have any right. They cannot even have their own religious identity. They do not have any religious freedom. And the Sikh community, as you have seen it from 1984, they have seen the genocidal violence being Sikhs. They have been persecuted. And the same thing is happening to the people of Kashmir, Muslims. There are 8 million Muslims in Kashmir who are under threat of genocidal violence.
Any support from the U.S. State Department or the member of the U.S. Congress? I mean, because I have heard something in the U.S. State Department. They say that you're free to launch your campaign here, but so do you?
So that's why we all live here. This is a free country. That's where they recognize freedom of speech and expression. And our campaign is a part of freedom of speech and expression. But we do not have any official governmental support, but the government supports its constitution, and we follow each and every country's constitution. So this means we have a support of the countries who are real democracies, not unlike India, where you cannot have a freedom of speech and expression. Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you answered this already, but if you hold this referendum and there's a clear support for an independent state, well, what will be the next step? You said this is non-binding, so how will you carry this referendum over to make any kind of change?
If we have a clear support, then we're going to lay our claim before the United Nations. And that's why we are setting up our national headquarters in the world capital of DC. We will be campaigning for the support of the foreign nations, and we will be seeking their support to make sure they force India to go for a binding referendum, and they support our claim for re-establishing Punjab as an independent country, Khalistan.
Is this the first time you've held any kind of referendum to try and seek independent country? Have there been past attempts?
No, this is the first global referendum. This is the first ever referendum that is being done on the status of Punjab, on the status of the Sikh community, and on the status of Khalistan, with the Indian-held Punjab. That's what we are talking about.
So there's one more thing. The Chief Minister of Indian Punjab, on a number of occasions, accused you for many things, and he said that they don't support such kind of referendum. And the Chief Minister of Punjab is saying that. What you want to say about that? I mean, how much is the Sikh population is with you in this referendum?
See, we live in the countries where democracy is democracy, right? And where there is a rule of law. There is a case that is pending against the Indian government in the Canada because they accused us of terrorism. They accused us of having connections with Pakistan. So there is a defamation case that is pending against the Indian government. There is a defamation case that is pending against the Indian Chief Minister, Punjab's Chief Minister. And if they have the facts with them, the best defense to the defamation is the truth. So if they have the facts and it is pending for more than 1 year, they should come to the Canadian courts and let's face the law over there. Let's have a day in the court.
So can you just also tell us a little bit about the Golden Temple, whatever happened, because it's all the details available on the online. I mean, but I just recall your memories, what really happened on the Golden Temple.
See, what started in, I think I mentioned it briefly, that what lies under the controversy between the Sikhs and the Indian government was the constitution, which labels Sikhs as a part of the Hindu religion. So for getting their status back, there was a movement at that time started by Sant Jarnail Singh Pindrawale. He was the head of the religious cemetery, Damdami Taksal. To crush that civil rights movement, the Indian government at that time, the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, she ordered the Operation Blue Star. And that's when there is the massacre of the pilgrims that happened between June 3rd and June 6th. And then started a decade-long cycle of violence against the Sikh community, including November 1984 Sikh genocide, which we were able to bring the facts out from the Indian government itself through the RTI. more than 30,000 Sikhs were killed in 10 days after the assassination of Indira Gandhi. So there is a long cycle of violence that has been committed by the Indian government against the Sikh community, and that's where we started to do our external right to self-determination after failing all remedies, after exhausting all remedies internally.
So already there's a Kashmir thing going on in India. So do you really think that Kashmir and Sikh movement going together? I mean, is there kind of
Means we feel for the Kashmiri community because there is 8 million people of Kashmir who are facing genocidal violence. And we can relate it back to what happened to June 1984. There was a Operation Woodrose that was conducted in the Punjab by the Indian security agencies. At that time, the Sikh youth who really emotionally backed the movement for Sikhs' right to self-determination, they used to get picked up, extrajudicially killed and tortured. And same thing is happening to the people of Kashmir. And that's why we were supporting them.
you support Kashmir freedom?
Of course, we support everybody who non-violently, who wanted to use this democratically and peacefully, their right to self-determination. Any questions? Thank you.
I have a question. You have questions? Press conference. Just
Then you should have been on time.
I'm sorry.
It's
Looking
okay.
for the, one sec. Let me open the questions. How are you?
So we will stay around also for a while if you want to talk, but when you ask a question, if you could state your name and the organization that you represent.
Thank you. Ji.
I have a question. What is the difference between Khalistan and referendum for people?
Khalistan is a country and referendum 2020 is a mean to achieve Khalistan.
So, in 2020 only you are considering territory of Punjab or
Yes,
whole India?
Indian Help Punjab. That's what we are creating,
So how-
to reestablish Punjab as an independent
How
country.
the world Sikh will go there and establish themselves over there in a short space?
What do you mean?
Because we are used and sitting in different countries.
Yes.
And if we achieve this goal, naturally we have to move to that place. And that space is very small where we can adjust the whole Sikh community.
That's not true.
Why? Why not?
Because Israel is created, India was created, every Indian didn't move back to India. That you don't have to move back to the Punjab unless you feel like moving. Nobody's forcing anybody to move from any place.
Now when independence is there, naturally we have to enjoy the facility of that place.
So what do you call yourself, Indian or no? Do you call yourself Indian? Are you from India?
Yeah, India.
So why are you in US? If you think that you are free and you wanted to enjoy independence, you should have been in India. Same way, when Sikhs will have Punjab as an independent
Because
country.
we have suffered over there, that's why we have moved to this place.
Who?
Me.
Suffered from who?
From the government, Indian government.
That's great. Then
Yeah,
we will all
that's why we are
support-
here.
We will all support referendum and then we will move.
If a referendum is achieved,
Ji.
then naturally we have to move back.
Why? Who's
Because
forcing?
that is our own place, motherland. We cannot
That will
leave.
be, I would say, that will be your own choice. You
not,
want to
not
move
choice.
back?
Not choice. We cannot forget and betray from our three mothers: mother language, motherland, and mother.
I'll be more than happy
Yeah.
if you move. Once we do the referendum, if referendum is achieved, Khalistan is there, we'll all go together,
And
you and me.
secondly, when we are moving this, and I have seen why we are violent in this. We have to respect each and other and give respect to everybody so that people should come forward instead of going away from this.
See, I would
place.
say something. You said we violent, so
Yeah.
don't include me in the violence. If you are violent, that is okay. We are not violent. That's why we wanted to achieve referendum. We are not violent.
Because I have seen the posting on your Facebook, the violence.
Like what?
Are there
Give me an
other
example.
questions? Excuse me, we need to make
I would
sure.
say let it go. Let me answer.
This question
Like
is
please.
related to that.
Yes. Let me see. What is posted?
Posted if somebody is coming to you and you don't like it, and instead of accommodating him, and you are fighting.
When? Let's see everybody. This is an international media. Let's show that post to everybody. That somebody came to me and I'm
You
violent.
give me time, let me look into
Please.
it again.
Please.
And secondly,
This would be the best. No, let's do one thing at a time. You
Uh-huh.
called us violent,
yeah,
and which
I have a proof.
deny.
I have a proof. I'll
Please.
show it.
Yeah, let's start from that one
Okay.
first. Let's finish that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Time for Voice of America. So, India's argument is that there is democracy in Indian Punjab. The turnout is, the last time turnout was 76%. So people are practicing in that democracy, practicing the constitution. How do you take this as a counter narrative to Khalistan?
See, what they are practicing over there is under Indian constitution. And that constitution itself labels the Sikhs as Hindus. People, even in Punjab, if it is a democracy, how come there is 150,000 extrajudicial killings, and the individuals who did it, especially the Indian police officers, they have promoted them. There is an impunity to the political leaders, there is impunity to the police officers. So what we are suggesting is, let's settle it down for once and all. If people of Punjab wants freedom, let's do it democratically and peacefully, and let's have a referendum. That's what we are seeking. And if they will be happy, that's why there is a no vote and there is a yes vote. That will decide.
This is Tejinder Singh from India America Today newspaper based in Washington DC, and also the US correspondent for Dainik Bhaskar,
Okay.
the Indian newspaper. I have a few questions. I was actually been trying to interview you.
Yes, I know that.
So
This is the best day now.
If after this we can sit also, that'll be a different. But I have a few questions. One is, how will referendum 2020 lead to Khalistan?
So referendum 2020, I think you missed the first part, but I'll repeat it again.
Yeah.
This is an unofficial and non-binding referendum.
Yeah.
Just in the same way the Bougainville right now they are doing in PNG,
Yeah.
the way Catalonians did it from Spain, the way the Kurdistan people did it from Iraq. When you do a non-binding and unofficial referendum, it gives you an idea, it gives you the strength of the people who supports an idea of independence. And then you lay your claim to the world, and then you lay your claim to the United Nations. This is exactly what we will do. If majority supports us, this is what we're going to do.
Have you discussed about your version of Khalistan with other Sikh groups? Because I have just come back from India and Pakistan. I was in that inauguration Kartarpur, the first Jatha. I went and I spoke to a lot of people on that side. I spoke to some, like for example, are you connecting with Babbar Khalsa or World Sikh Parliament? I met some people from different organizations without the Khalistan flags waving, but very, So how do you see bringing Sikhs together? I understand the way you explained the Israel concept. I fully agree on that. But I will like you to explain to me, because I was in India in 1984 when I was escorted out of examination hall by the army in Hyderabad. So I know what happened. I was a full-blown Sikh, and now you can say I'm a very beautiful Sikh. So
I understand.
what do you say
We are here
about
for you,
that?
that's why.
So what do you say about that?
See, we have to understand this session of Punjab from India, or the movement for Khalistan, it's not a group movement. It's a people's movement. So when you are talking about Babbar Khalsa or you're talking WSP, everybody has their own versions and their own ways of campaigning. We are going to the people. We are going to the people of Punjab. We're going to the Sikh diaspora. We're going to the Sikh community and seeking their vote. So that's how it should be democratically. That what exactly, instead of enforcing our will on somebody, okay, let's create Punjab, let's create Khalistan. We are going to the people and asking, do you want to create it or not? That is a simple thing. It's not a group concept.
Recently, because we don't have now regular press briefings in the White House or the State Department.
Okay.
I have accreditation to all the federal agencies here. We had a recent press briefing by the CBP, the Border chief of the border control. And I was talking to some press officers, and and they asked me one very simple question. They said, once you are also Singh, are you all related? I said, maybe yes, because it is from the gurus. I explained to him why you are a Singh and why you are a Kaur. And, people add whatever. You are known more as Mr. Pannu than Mr. Singh. Like I am known as Mr. Singh. So I said they said, we arrest one illegal person crossing, and there's already a lawyer here who knows that so and so has been arrested. What is the connection? What is your views on this illegal migrants? And now even the girls, women, kids are coming. And it came to highlight, we covered it, when that nearly 7-year-old little girl got killed. Not killed, but she died, basically. So what is your opinion about, are you supporting the illegal migrants? If they come here, will you support them as a lawyer or as a Sikhs for Justice? Where is the justice?
Sikhs for Justice doesn't get involved in any of these things, including myself. If somebody is coming, that is for the CBAP to decide in the initial credible fear interview whether they qualify and whether they can file a claim or not. And in the past, once the credible fear interview has been passed by them, the people, some of the aliens have even approached me, but it has no business with Sikhs for Justice. So there is no reason of supporting illegal. We shouldn't call them illegal. They are coming here, the questions that they ask at that time at the credible fear is, are you being persecuted, for what grounds? And that's how they qualify. That's when they come to the lawyers.
No, but do you personally, as a journalist, because I covered that I was with BBC, I covered in 1996 when the ship sank, 289 Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis died. I still remember interviewing this 16-year-old kid who was shaking like crazy, and we pursued 2 years, and we found the ship, Johan. I found the Bhola in India. I found one Sardar. I'm just saying that I know the illegal migration route, but if they do not get support at the end of the journey, they will not come. So are you supporting them through your law firm, through this?
No, none of them.
I just wanted to, make sure that you are not, supporting or
you can
telling
record
them.
it and you can keep it forever. We do not support any illegal activity ever, anywhere in the world.
But you support if somebody is being persecuted.
If they have finalized their credible fear interview, if the CB have decided they have a right to fight their political asylum case, that's what I do for my living.
Okay.
Then they can come to me and have fought their cases, and I'll keep continuing fighting their cases.
Thank you, but I just have one last question.
Sure.
What is the source of, because as a journalist, as an investigative journalist, I have been told to follow one question, follow the money. Where is your money coming from?
Told by who?
As a journalist.
Who told you to ask this question? You just said that you have been told. Is it coming from you or coming from somewhere?
I have been told when I was preparing to be a journalist that in any investigative journalism story by my professors, follow the money. That's what I've been told.
We all work. He's a doctor. He drives a cab. I'm a lawyer. All of them are like drivers who follow the truck driving, businessman. We have all kind of people supporting us.
That's what I wanted to listen.
That's what we do. We work hard for our money, and then we spend that money. And that's what you will see.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Sure, please.
I apologize for becoming late. Flavius Mihais, I'm an independent journalist. I'm curious to know if you have countries sympathetic to your cause that you anticipate will recognize, assuming that the referendum is positive and the process moves forward, if you anticipate countries sympathetic to your cause to recognize, because independence and a new country works just as much as other countries recognize it. And one can argue, I work in the Middle East. the Kurdistan referendum in 2017 is actually an example of a backlash against even the allies to Kurdistan, the Kurdish government of Kurdistan government of Iraq and the United States told the president, Mr. Barzani, not to hold the referendum. Understandably, countries don't want to create necessarily a precedent because then their own situations might come up, and one can also argue that Israel is a very unique case, historically speaking, coming from the Second World War. So I was wondering if moving forward you anticipate some countries to step forward and say we recognize your new country. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming through the non-binding referendum, unofficial referendum, as you talked about Kurdistan, I was there for a few months over there as an international representative. And what US stated them, this is not the right time, because they were fighting the war with the ISIS at that time. There was a lot going on. And they were using the Kurdish army and the Kurdish people to fight them. But we were there. That really brought their fight for independence, quest for independent country to the forefront. And we expect the same from the foreign nations, and we will be campaigning and we will be seeking their support. If overwhelming majority in referendum 2020, if they support Free Punjab, we will be going to the different countries and seeking their support and help.
So I'm from Voice of America. So
Sure.
in South Asia, there have been various experiments of forming country in the name of religion. We have a president of Pakistan. So do you have anything in mind what kind of country, if Khalistan come into being, is going to be? Is it going to be a theocracy? What kind of roadmap do you have?
See, Punjab was an independent country, and each and every religion will be respected. That's why we want to create an independent country. It's not based on a specific religion who would be given an importance over the other religion, unlike what that's happening in India. You can see about the bill that has happened and the political statements they are saying they wanted to create the whole India as a Hindu nation. That is our whole issue is with India, that we wanted to create a Punjab as an independent country where each and every religion will be respected and will be equal. Unlike India, where Sikhism is considered a part and labeled as a Hinduism.
Can a non-Sikh who is a resident of Punjab also vote in this referendum?
Yes, that we will be declaring in August, all those terms and conditions. Yes, they will be.
Any more questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much for being in this press conference. This was very important for us since we only have a 1 year left to start our unofficial non-binding referendum. And right now we are doing the registration of the votes. Thank you very much all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Very good job.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Thanks so much. Feliz Mihez, independent journalist. Actually, I worked on the Syrian Kurdish issue. And, my card is upstairs, but thank you so much. I spent thank you very much. Yes. I spent a lot of Feliz Mihez.
This referendum will be another precedent for other people.
Yes.
Yeah. I also understand having worked on the Syrian Kurd and to some extent the Iraqi Kurd issues that countries are extremely cautious and reluctant because obviously then it creates a precedent that can be used in their own countries and that's why when it comes to the reality of breaking countries apart unless there's a genocide or there's really a humanitarian pressure, they err on the side of caution and not encouraging that. And I think